When George Russell himself disputed Lewis Hamilton's penalty, what happened at the Belgian Grand Prix could no longer be dismissed as Ferrari simply defending its own driver. Russell lost electrical power on the Kemmel Straight, became vulnerable to two rapidly approaching Ferraris, then made contact with Hamilton and retired. The FIA blamed Hamilton and handed him a 5-second penalty, yet Russell described it as probably more of a normal racing accident, while Toto Wolff admitted that Mercedes' power problem had put his driver in that position. "That is 100% our fault," he said. Ferrari had every reason to challenge the decision more aggressively. Vasseur called the penalty severe, while Hamilton believed Russell's retirement had influenced the steward's judgment. But Ferrari's response remained controlled. The team expressed its disagreement, accepted the consequences, then focused on the performance that had been left untapped in Hamilton's car. The list was extensive. His FP3 crash forced Ferrari to rebuild the car with an imperfect suspension configuration. The opening lap contact damaged the floor and cost him downforce. A planned front-wing adjustment for the hard tyres was then abandoned because of confusion during Ferrari's double stack. Hamilton was left managing significant understeer using only the settings available from his steering wheel. He still finished fourth. In the other Ferrari, Charles Leclerc took second and forced Kimi Antonelli to fight to reclaim the victory. Ferrari had therefore come close to defeating Mercedes at a circuit that should have favoured the Mercedes power unit. Hungary now presents a clearer opportunity. Hamilton believes the SF26 will be strong there. Antonelli has admitted that Ferrari will pose a serious threat. Even Vasseur, despite remaining cautious, says the next circuit's characteristics should be more favourable to his team. So, is Ferrari staying quiet because it has prepared a response more powerful than simply protesting against the FIA? Watch until the end and subscribe so you do not miss the technical reasons why Hamilton could become Mercedes' greatest threat in Hungary. To understand why Ferrari's restraint matters, the Belgian incident must be examined beyond the 5-second penalty itself. Russell did not suddenly lose position because the Ferrari drivers had discovered an overwhelming speed advantage. His Mercedes reached the Kemmel Straight without the electrical deployment it needed, leaving him heavily dependent on the internal combustion engine, while Leclerc and Hamilton approached with considerably more momentum. Leclerc used the slipstream and effective energy deployment to move ahead. Hamilton then attempted to follow him through, but the available space disappeared as the cars converged. The stewards concluded that Hamilton had understeered into Russell and had not maintained sufficient control to avoid contact. Because it occurred on the opening lap, the standard sanction was reduced to 5 seconds, but the outcome immediately exposed the difficulty of judging cause and consequence. Russell's retirement made the collision look decisive. The technical failure that left him vulnerable was less visible, yet it was essential to the sequence. Hamilton said, "I think they gave it to me because George retired and they thought they should take action. Even so, I think it was a racing incident. It is something that happens in racing. Neither he nor I was particularly aggressive." Russell did not demand punishment either. He accepted that both drivers might have done something differently, but regarded the collision as a normal racing accident. More importantly, he acknowledged that he should never have been placed in that position. Wolff's assessment supported that wider context. "We had a problem on all the Mercedes engines. We were lacking power on the straights. That penalised him heavily," he explained, "and that is 100% our fault." That did not automatically make the FIA's ruling incorrect. Hamilton was still responsible for controlling his Ferrari as the cars entered the braking zone, but it explains why the punishment was controversial even among those on the other side of the collision. Vasseur's reaction was measured but clear. "It was certainly a severe penalty," he said. "There were several incidents on the first lap, and in that situation I think George Russell was already moving towards the left, so the contact was fairly inevitable." Ferrari could have built its entire post-race message around that disagreement. Instead, Vasseur ended the discussion quickly. "I don't want to comment on the decision. It happened, and that is all." That sentence describes Ferrari's response. The team did not pretend it agreed with the verdict, but it also understood that continuing the argument would not recover the 5 seconds. What it could recover was the performance lost through a succession of problems that began before the race. Hamilton's FP3 accident caused extensive damage to the rear of the SF26 and forced the mechanics into a major rebuilding operation before qualifying. Ferrari returned the car to the track, but getting it operational was not the same as restoring it perfectly. When they rebuilt the car, they missed something in the suspension, Hamilton said. The balance was completely different. That meant I was probably a couple of tenths, perhaps 3/10, slower in qualifying than I should have been. Those tenths mattered. Hamilton started fifth and entered the opening lap among cars fighting closely for position. The incorrect suspension configuration therefore did more than compromise one qualifying result. It placed him inside the sequence that produced the collision, the damage, and the penalty. The contact with Russell removed aerodynamic components from the left front area of the floor. Hamilton could not provide an exact figure for the loss, but his description was unambiguous. "I think we lost an enormous amount of downforce," he said. "I don't know what the numbers were, but the problem was still there and the front part of the floor was gone." He then had to serve the 5-second penalty during Ferrari's double stack under the virtual safety car. Leclerc was serviced first, while Hamilton waited behind him. Hamilton had requested a front wing adjustment to rebalance the car for the hard compound, but that instruction was not communicated to the pit stop supervisor before the Ferrari arrived. After the 5 seconds had elapsed, the tyre change began. A late instruction for a 0.6-degree front wing adjustment followed, but the pit stop controller activated the green release light before that work had been completed. Hamilton responded to the signal and began moving. A mechanic approached with the adjustment tool, failed to notice the green light, and was struck by the front right tyre. Hamilton stopped almost immediately. The mechanic escaped injury, but the planned adjustment was not completed. The FIA later ruled that Hamilton was not responsible for the unsafe release. Ferrari was fined €30,000, with €10,000 suspended for 12 months, and was ordered to submit a report outlining its revised procedures within 14 days. Vasseur accepted responsibility without qualification. "It was a team error," he said. "Hamilton had the green light and set off. That means he was absolutely not at fault. His actions were correct." Hamilton explained the frightening moment from inside the car. "I didn't do anything unusual. I did what the green light told me to do, so I pulled away. Then I saw him on my right and stopped. My heart was really beating fast for a second, but I'm just grateful that he wasn't hurt." The incident produced no further sporting penalty, but it still damaged Hamilton's race. Ferrari had calculated a revised front wing angle to suit the hard tyres, the lower fuel load, and the aerodynamic damage already affecting the SF26. Without it, Hamilton began the second stint with a balance designed for a different phase of the Grand Prix. The result was persistent understeer. Hamilton struggled to rotate the Ferrari through Spa's technical sections and had to adapt his driving while the team used brake balance, differential and engine braking settings to limit the problem. Those tools could alter the car's behaviour, but none could replace the physical aerodynamic adjustment that had been missed. Yet Hamilton's pace became increasingly competitive. Between laps 29 and 33, he gained approximately 2 seconds on Leclerc. On lap 32, Hamilton recorded a 1 minute 49.6 compared with Leclerc's 1 minute 50.2. 1 lap later, Hamilton improved to a 1 minute 49.5, while Leclerc remained at a 1 minute 50.2. That comparison does not prove Hamilton would have won. The two Ferraris were running in different circumstances, and Leclerc had placed greater stress on his hard tyres while attempting to clear Lando Norris quickly. But it does support Hamilton's belief that substantial performance remained hidden by the damage and operational compromises. "Without the damage, I believe we had the pace to win," Hamilton said. It remains his assessment rather than a confirmed conclusion, but Leclerc's race provided further evidence that the claim was not unrealistic. Ferrari had extended its opening medium tyre stint while waiting for an opportunity. Pirelli confirmed that it was the only team to attempt something significantly different by keeping both drivers on the C3. When the virtual safety car arrived, Leclerc stopped at a reduced time cost, fitted the C2 hard and moved ahead of Antonelli. Suddenly, Ferrari was leading a race it had expected Mercedes to control. Antonelli eventually recovered and passed Leclerc, but the battle continued. Leclerc stayed close enough to threaten through the powerful slipstream and overtake mode, forcing Mercedes to alter how it deployed electrical energy around the lap. In the cool-down room, Antonelli told Leclerc, "When you were behind me, I had to change my deployment." Leclerc immediately recognized what Mercedes had done. "Oh yes, I saw it, because before the final corner you were able to pull away a little," he replied. Antonelli confirmed he was using maximum deployment through the final corner, while Leclerc observed that the Mercedes driver had also changed his braking behavior at turn 18 to force the Ferrari out of overtake mode range. That exchange is significant. Mercedes did not simply disappear after reclaiming the lead. Leclerc applied enough pressure to demand an active tactical response from the fastest combination in the field. Ferrari's defeat was ultimately linked to balance and tyre use as much as outright power. Leclerc identified understeer through turns 6 and 7 immediately after the finish. "It was a close race, but we were lucky with the VSC," he told his engineer. "We need to analyse turns 6 and 7, a lot of understeer." The hard compound had not been tested by the leading teams earlier in the weekend, making its behaviour difficult to predict. Leclerc may have asked too much from it during the opening laps of the stint, while Antonelli managed the Mercedes more carefully and was able to increase his pace by more than half a second near the finish. This gives Ferrari a more useful explanation than simply claiming that Mercedes possessed a superior engine. The SF26 was competitive enough to lead, attack, and force Mercedes to respond, but it could not maintain the same tyre performance or front-end balance across the decisive phase. Spa also revealed that Mercedes' power unit advantage is not without risk. Its 2026 system may be powerful, but the electrical deployment problem affected every Mercedes-powered car at the start. Russell suffered the most severe consequences, while Antonelli was also affected to a smaller degree. Wolff defended the fundamental package. "We have the most powerful power unit and a strong car capable of winning," he said, but he also admitted Mercedes had lost significant points through technical problems. "I would rather solve reliability problems than try to make a slow engine or a slow car faster." That appeared to be a warning directed towards Ferrari, but Ferrari can interpret it differently. Mercedes still possesses the benchmark performance, yet its advantage is vulnerable to reliability, energy management, and execution. Ferrari, meanwhile, has used consistency and strategic flexibility to remain involved in the championship fight. Hungary changes the technical emphasis again. Its layout contains fewer prolonged full-throttle sections and places greater importance on aerodynamic load, balance, and rotation. That should reduce the influence of the straight-line weakness Ferrari expected to suffer at Spa. It should also allow Ferrari to apply the lessons from Belgium directly. The team knows where Leclerc encountered understeer. It knows why Hamilton's hard tyre balance was compromised. It has evidence that its energy deployment was good enough to help Leclerc overtake Russell and Verstappen after Eau Rouge. And it has seen how close the SF26 can remain to Mercedes, even on an unfavourable circuit. Hamilton's confidence is therefore based on more than hope. "And I'm optimistic for Hungary," he said. "This car will be strong there. If we have the right setup and don't make mistakes, we can get where we want to be." Ferrari is still refusing to declare itself favourite. Leclerc remembers Monaco, where the circuit was also expected to suit the SF26 before Antonelli secured pole and victory. "I don't think we are the favourites," Leclerc said. "I think Mercedes is one step ahead of us at the moment, but we will do everything we can to be there if an opportunity to win presents itself." Vasseur delivered the same warning. "The next circuit, on paper, looks slightly more favourable for us, but that absolutely does not mean we will win." His priorities are clear: qualify both cars near the front, avoid penalties, execute the strategy cleanly, and remove the operational errors that complicated Hamilton's race in Belgium. Even Mercedes expects a stronger challenge. Antonelli said Ferrari would definitely be very strong in Budapest, despite Mercedes returning to the higher downforce configuration it used before Spa. That is why Ferrari's silence after the penalty should not be confused with acceptance. Hamilton, Russell, and Vasseur have already placed their assessments on record. Repeating them will not change the Belgian result. Correcting the suspension configuration, improving the SF26's rotation, controlling the hard tyre balance, and executing every pit stop properly might change the next one. Ferrari came within reach of Mercedes at a circuit that should have exposed its weaknesses. Hungary now offers a layout better suited to its strengths and a chance for Hamilton to turn frustration into a result the stewards cannot influence after the checkered flag. So, was Spa merely another missed opportunity, or did it reveal that Hamilton and Ferrari are now one clean weekend away from defeating Mercedes? And if Hamilton wins in Hungary, would that be the strongest possible response to the FIA's controversial penalty? Share your verdict in the comments.